Hey class, welcome back to Edmonton Truck Training. Today we're going to cover a full inclusive pre-trip on a Class 3 commercial road test, what you're going to inspect and what you need to do to get through your pre-trip on a Class 3 road test. So first off, we're going to verify that the vehicle is secure. We're going to make sure that the wheel chocks are in place and that the spring brakes are applied. I also want to mention that your test is going to be 40 minutes. If you take longer than 40 minutes to complete your pre-trip, you'll unfortunately fail your test. So let's begin with our pre-trip. We're going to start with an under hood. There's 4 steps to the test. First is under hood, then you do a 360 inspection around the truck and under. Then you do an in-cab inspection followed by an air brake test. So the timer on the clock will start when you open the hood on your test. So before we open the hood, we're going to make sure that our hinges are secure. We're going to take a quick look at our hood hinges through here, and then we'll open our hood. And we'll start on the driver's side here on the firewall. So on the firewall, we're inspecting that our windshield wiper motor is securely mounted to its linkages and all the wiring secure with no corrosion. Our fuse box is securely mounted. We're also checking our foot valve. We're checking for cracks or damages or any audible leaks. This truck has an automatic transmission, so there's no clutch fluid reservoir. We're checking our governor. It's secure, no cracks or damage, and we're listening for audible leaks as well. From here, I like to trace down the blue line going to our air compressor. It's securely mounted. There's no air leaks or any fluids leaking. Here we have our windshield washer fluid. Should always have this full before we hit the road, but we're going to ensure it has a minimum of 3/4 full. We're also going to check our inner fender and our hood support, securely mounted, no cracks or damage. And now we're going to move to our steering component. So on our steering rod, we cannot exceed 1/8 of a turn. No excess play or damage to our universal joints. We have adequate grease. We're going to inspect our power steering box and make sure it has no cracks or damage or leaks. And moving down from there, we're going to go to our pitman arm, our drag link and our tie rod end, and our steering knuckle in the back, which is hard to see. But on these steering components, we want to call out all 3 of our castle nuts with cotter pins. So this here is a castle nut, and this would be the cotter pin going through. No cracks or damage. We're also going to inspect our suspension. So we're going to go through our shackle, our leaf spring, and our U-bolt, securing the leaf spring to the axle, and no cracks or damage on the axle. While we're down there, we'll point out our fuel filter. It has no cracks, damage, or leaks. Here we have our shock absorber. It's securely mounted, no excess play, no oil leaks. Sometimes you have a gas cylinder, but most of the time you have an oil shock. Here we have our ABS modulator and our air line going to our brake chamber. It's securely mounted, no cracks or damage. And let's not forget about our leveling valve and our airbag. No cracks or damage or any audible air leaks. So once again, we have our ABS modulator, our brake line, and our brake chamber. We're also checking our push rod, which connects to our slack adjuster, is secured with cotter pins. From there, we're going to inspect our S-cam for cracks or damages. And underneath the dust cover here, we have our brake drum and our brake shoes. And we cannot exceed, or we cannot be any less than 1/4 inch thickness on the shoes. We're also checking the inside tire and rim for cracks or damage. We want to inspect our tread wear. We want to have even wear on our tread. And on the steering axles, we can't have less than 3.2 millimeters tread depth. For the rear, 1.6, so half of that amount. We're also inspecting the outside tire and rim condition for cracks or damage. Checking all our lug nuts. And our hub bolts are tight. We have an oil bath hub here. You can also have a grease hub on some trucks. But we're going to check that we have adequate oil level and no leaks coming from our hubs. Also, we want to ensure we have metal valve stem and cap in place. Any tire over 60 psi has to have metal valve stem and cap. So we also want to inspect our bumpers securely mounted with no new damage. Make sure if you find any new damage on your truck to report that to your employer. We're also inspecting our hood hinge and our hood strut for cracks or damage or any leaks from our hood strut. And while we're in here, we're going to inspect our intercooler and our intercooler piping leading to our intake manifold, which is this green piece here. And And we're checking all applicable hose clamps are tight. Same with our radiator hose up here. We also want to inspect our radiator for cracks, damage, or leaks. And we're inspecting our fan shroud, our fan blades, and our serpentine belts. On the belts, we don't want any cracks or damage, and we don't want any glazing. If this is shiny on the top, that's an indicator of a bad idler pulley or tensioner. And we're also inspecting our alternator and our AC pump down below. And while we're here, we're going to check our frame for any cracks or damage or illegal welds. This is hardened steel, so only certain people can weld on that. We're checking that our oil filler cap is tight. It's not required, but we recommend you pull a dipstick and check the oil on test day. Make sure it's between minimum and maximum. And our power steering fluid cap is tight. And we got a sufficient oil level between minimum and maximum. Overall, we don't want to see any leaks of any kind on the side of the block. We're going to check that the overfill cap on our coolant reservoir is tight and the hose is in place for the drain. And that would conclude this side. So we just completed the driver's side. We're now on the passenger side of the truck. And I like to start with the air cleaner. So the air cleaner housing is securely mounted, no cracks or damage. Our air filter indicator gauge is in place. This doesn't work unless the engine is running, but it's good to inspect it. We're also ensuring there's no obstructions here or in the hood where your air intake closes when the hood closes. Once again, we're checking our fender and our hood support. And we're going to work our way back to the block again and check our exhaust manifold for cracks or damage or missing bolts, and our turbo system. And we're going to look down under the truck as far as we can, and we're going to look for black carbon buildup or black soot, because that would indicate an exhaust leak. And we're also going to check our frame for cracks or damage. From up here, I can see we have 3 oil filters. You can also see them from down here, but we're checking our 3 oil filters for leaks, making sure they're securely mounted. And we got one more filter to call out on this Volvo here. We have a coolant filter attached to our water pump down below there. Hard to see, but it's in there. And then on this side, we can see our coolant reservoir is between minimum and maximum level. We don't want to run low on coolant. Make sure our cap is on tight. Also inspect our radiator and our intercooler on this side for cracks or damage, and our intercooler piping and all applicable clamps. Make sure that's all tight. Once again, we're going to check the fan shroud, the blades, and the serpentine belt on this side for cracks, damage, or glazing. And we're also going to inspect our fuel water separator. We're going to make sure it has no leaks coming out of it and there's no signs of water. If there was water in there, diesels and oil, it would float on top. Also, we have a Webasto. This acts as a block heater in the wintertime if you got nowhere to plug your truck in. So there's coolant and diesel that could be leaked from this. We're checking for leaks, and everything's securely mounted, not damaged. And we're also inspecting our hood hinge, our hood strut, and the wiring for the headlights on this side as well as our bumper securely mounted with no cracks or damage. We're going to go down underneath, and once again we're going to check our shackle, our leaf spring, and our U-bolts, securing the leaf spring to the axle, and no cracks or damage to the axle. And while we're covering suspension, let's check this shock absorber for any cracks, damages, or leaks, as well as the airbag and our leveling valve, which controls the height of our airbag. No cracks or damages or leaks. We have our ABS modulator, our air line leading to our brake chamber, no cracks or damages or leaks. And we're checking our push rod, which connects to our slack adjuster with all cotter pins in place, no cracks or damage. And we have our S-cam and our brake drums and our brake shoes as well. Once again, we're not allowed any less than 1/4 inch on the brake shoes or 6.4 millimeters. We're checking the inside tire and rim for cracks or damage. Once again, even tread wear and no less than 3.2 millimeters on the steering tires. And we're going to inspect the outside tire, sidewall, and rim. Bead is in good condition. Metal valve stem and cap are in place. Grab each and every lug nut, all our hub bolts. Ensure you have sufficient oil level and no oil leaks from your hub. Also on this side, we want to make a mention of one castle nut with cotter pin on the steering knuckle back here as well. So now that we're completed with our under hood inspection, the first part of 4 on our pre-trip, I want you to know that you will not be guided or instructed to do anything by your examiner on test day. It's going to be on you to go to the next step, which is going to be our 360. So let's go ahead and close this hood and secure it. Don't allow for the hood to drop. Make sure you close it nice and gentle so we don't damage anything. And we're going to latch both sides. So we're now going to begin with step 2 of our pre-trip, which is a 360 inspection. We're now going to enter the cab of the truck, turn the ignition to the on position, and we're going to start with our low beam headlights and our left signal. So we're on step 2 of the pre-trip inspection. We're doing our 360 circle check. Vehicle still secured. We have now turned on our low beam headlights and our left signal. So let's start from the top and work our way down. We're inspecting the wind deflector up top, has no cracks or damage. Also, our visor securely mounted with no cracks or damage. On the visor, we have our student driver logo present, and all 5 of our clearance lights are working. We're inspecting our windshield for cracks or damage, and also our wiper blades are securely mounted to the windshield. Here we have a bug deflector, it's securely mounted, and our hood is properly closed. We're inspecting our grill for any obstructions. In the summertime, this can build up with bugs and you might overheat, so we'll inspect that. Our bumper is securely mounted, and so is our license plate. Very important to mention that we have no leaks underneath the truck. Both our low beam headlights are working, as well as our left signal and our right marker. We can now work our way counterclockwise around the truck. So our hood mirror is securely mounted, no cracks or damage to the glass. Making sure we got no obstructions in our intake grill. Overall hood and body condition has no new body damage. Our tires are done from the underhood already. Our hood is properly latched. We're checking that our mirror is securely mounted and that we got no cracks in the glass on our mirror or our window. Also, we're verifying that our CVIP decal is not expired. Company logo is in place and our weights are displayed. We're going to check our ergonomic controls, so our steps are secure, battery box is secure, no audible air leaks from our air tanks, and they're securely mounted as well. We're going to make sure the door opens. Inside, we're going to check our latch and our striker. Both handles are securely mounted. Both our hinges are securely mounted, no cracks or damage. Our door seal or weather stripping has no cracks or damage. And fire extinguisher is one of our 3 pieces of auxiliary equipment in the cab. But we're going to inspect that now since it's easier to look at. So we're going to look at the bottom at the manufacturing date, make sure it's not expired. It's good for 6 years from the manufacturing date. We're going to make sure it's securely mounted, fully charged with the safety pin in place so it doesn't go off in the cab on you when driving. Also, we're going to make sure that there's no obstructions on our floor or underneath our pedals. Now we're going to make sure that our door properly latches. It does. If you're doing your test with a sleeper truck like this, it's also smart to open up your cubby door, check the hinges, and make sure it properly latches as well. We're going to call out our left side signal, and also our DEF cap is on tight. Tank is securely mounted with no leaks underneath. Tank is securely mounted, cap is on tight, no leaks underneath. Same for our diesel tank, so it's got all 3 straps in place, cap is on tight, and no leaks underneath. We're now going to inspect the back of the truck here. No new body damage. And if we look underneath, we have 2 airbags and 2 shocks. We want to inspect them for cracks, damages, or leaks. We're also checking our leveling valve, which is located in the center there. No new body damage to the back of the truck. And we're going to climb up now. So we're going to check these ergonomic controls. We have our handle in place, our steps are securely mounted, and so is our platform. We're going to crawl up. This is our transmission cooler. It's securely mounted, no leaks. This handle is securely mounted. We have our work lights in place, securely mounted, no cracks or damage. This handle is tight as well. We're also checking our cross member for our exhaust. No apparent exhaust leaks, and we have our heat shield in place. Also underneath the cab, it's hard to see, but we have our air dryer located just along the frame rail. that silver looking canister under there. Okay. We're also inspecting our frame and cross members for any cracks or damage. And from here I got a good view of my drive shaft and the universal joints. So no cracks or damage, no excess planar universal joints. All our air lines and wires are neatly bundled so they don't get caught in the drive shaft. And now we're going to inspect our frame and cross members along here. No cracks or damage. So let's start with our torque bar. It's securely mounted, no cracks or damage. This big round thing in the middle is our differential. We're checking that for cracks or damage or any leaks. And we're also checking our second drive shaft and universal joints for cracks or leaks or damage. And we also have a leveling valve which controls the ride height of all 4 airbags. While we're on the topic of airbags, we're going to check our airbags are securely mounted on both sides and no audible air leaks, as well as our shocks on both sides. No cracks or damage or leaks. And we're also inspecting our leaf spring, our U-bolts, and our shackle for any cracks or damage. We're now going to move on to brake components. So from here I can see on my front axle my 2 brake chambers. They're securely mounted with no cracks or damage, and they're not caged. If you see a bolt coming out the front, that would mean that they're caged. And from here I can also see my 2 push rods and slack adjusters with cotter pins in place. And I can also see my S-cams for both sides. No cracks or damage. And we're also inspecting our brake drums and brake shoes for both sides of the front drive axle. And we're ensuring there's no cracks or damage, and we have over a 1/4 inch pad thickness on our shoes. And once again, we're going to call out that all our air lines and wiring are neatly bundled and not dragging or getting caught in the drive shaft. Not really applicable to class 3, but since we're doing it on a tractor, we'll call out that our 5th wheel is securely mounted. From up here I can see the inside tire and rim condition is good, no cracks or damage. And then once you're done calling all that out, you can come down. Ensure you use 3-point contact. And now I'm going to grab the hammer because we want to check our tire pressures. That will be located on the inside of the door when you come to our school. So we're checking all 4 tires for even tread wear. And remember, like I said, we can't have any less than 1.6 millimeters tread depth. We're checking our tire pressure. Tire pressure is good. We have no obstructions between our duals. And we also want to check all our lug nuts, all our hub bolts. We're making sure we got no leaks from our hubs. And since we got 2 tires, we got to call out both metal valve stems and caps. One here, one in here. Inner and outer tire. We'll repeat that process on this back dual. Checking all our lug nuts, all our hub bolts, no leaks from the hub, no cracks or damage to the outside tire or rim on both sets, and metal valve stem and cap are in place for both tires. We're now going to come to the back. From the back we have our reflective tape on our mud flaps. They're both securely mounted. We also have our inverted L's on the back of the cab that I forgot to mention. We have our left signal and our right marker working. We can see that both our brake chambers are securely mounted on the rear drive axle and no cracks or damage, and they're not caged. And we can also see both our push rods and slack adjusters with our cotter pins in place for both sides. Make sure in the test you call out both sides to speed up the process. We're only allowed 40 minutes for this pre-trip. We're also checking our torque arm on the rear diff and our rear differential, no cracks, damage, or leaks. And we're checking our suspension once again. So we're going to go through our leaf spring, our shackle, and our U-bolts for both sides. No cracks or damage. And we're going to go through our shock absorbers and airbags. No cracks or damages or leaks for both sides. We can also see our 2 S-cam tubes on the back axle and our brake drums and brake shoes for either side. And we have over a 1/4 inch shoe thickness and no cracks or damage to the drums or shoes. And once again, we'll do a double check of the inside tires and rims, no cracks or damage. When you're at the back of the truck, remember the 3 L's. if we were driving a body job truck, we would have a license plate back here. So we're checking our license plate. Our license plate light is working. And we have to call this out in a test. We're checking for load securement. If we had a load, we would check for load securement. So at this point of the test, we're going to put our hammer on the ground so we don't forget it on the truck and drive, because that would be a fail. We're now going to turn our signal off and use a bungee cord to pull on our spike to check our brake lights. So we just verified that our brake lights are working. We can now put our right signal on and continue up the passenger side of the truck counterclockwise. So now we have a right signal light and a left marker working. We're going to check our tire pressures again. This part of the pre-trip goes quick because everything is done underneath. So we got good tire pressure, we got even tread wear, we're over 1.6 millimeters. We have no obstructions between our duals. We're going to go through all our lug nuts and hub bolts again. All tight. We got no leaks in our hub, and both metal valve stems of caps are in place. No cracks or damage to the sidewall or rim on this set of duals. We'll repeat that again on this one. All are tight, no hub leaks. Both valve stems with metal caps are in place. Fender securely mounted. Fuel tank is securely mounted. Cap is on tight, no leaks underneath. No new body damage to the passenger side of the truck. Got a left signal working here, company logo. Steps are securely mounted as well. We're going to check that our mirror is securely mounted, no cracks or damage to the glass on the mirror or the window. Door opens. We're going to check that this door properly opens and closes. No cracks or damage. Once again, we're checking our striker latch and hinges on the door. Our weather stripping going around the door. Checking our ergonomic controls. And this door we'll refer to as our emergency exit. There's no obstructions in our path to our emergency exit. And door properly closes and latches. Once again, call out no new body damage. Hood's properly latched. We got this tire done on the underhood. Got no obstructions in our intake grill. And our convex mirror in our hood has no cracks or damage, and it's securely mounted. Now we're back at the front of the truck. We're going to call out that our right signal is working and our left marker is working now. So from here, we're going to put on our high beams and our four-way hazards and do one more lap around the truck. So, we now got high beams working and our four-ways working at the front. Side four-ways working. Rear four-ways on the truck are working. And this right side four-way is working. So remember, the examiner is not going to give you any hints or tell you to go to the next step. It's on you to know this. We're done our 360. We're now going to move to an in-cab inspection. So here we are, step 3 of our class 3 road test, pre-trip inspection. We're going to do our in-cab inspection. First thing I like to do is pull my seatbelt out and make sure that it properly buckles and unbuckles. We're checking for major rips or tears, and to simulate an accident, we want to make sure it locks. From there, I like to call out proper seat adjustment. So we want to be able to reach our pedals comfortably. We don't want the seat too high up, otherwise we have too much pressure in the bottom of our legs, which could cut off circulation. And once your seat's properly adjusted and your steering wheel as well, you have to do it in this order: seat and then mirrors. So now I'm going to call out my mirrors are properly adjusted. I can see one lane to either side of my convex mirror, and I can see the rear tires of my truck, and also a minimum of 60 meters behind me on both mirrors. From there, we're going to work our way up the door. So the door latch works from the inside of the truck, opens and closes. Going to put our windows all the way up and check for cracks or damage, make sure they both properly work, which they do. This would be for my mirror adjustments, door lock and unlock, and this top button would be my mirror defrost or my mirror heat. We're going to call out all our vents are securely mounted with no obstructions. This is my light control, dash dimmer, my 4-way switch. Down here we have our work light and a backup horn. We're going to move to our signal light lever. So this serves as our signal lights, our high beam, low beam, and our cruise control in this particular truck. Steering wheel has no cracks or damage. On a day of the test, we got to test both our horns, so the electric horn and the air horn are both functioning properly. We want to call out, this is our engine brake controls and our windshield washer fluid spray. We want to make sure we spray the window on test day, actually check that. And it's good to call out, this is your ignition. We're going to call out our pedals. So this far left one is for our steering wheel adjustment. We have our brake pedal and our accelerator. And now we're going to go through our gauges on the truck here. So starting with the top left, we have our turbo boost gauge. And then we have our coolant temperature gauge and our oil pressure gauge. When you start in a truck, make sure you watch that oil pressure gauge. Make sure you build oil pressure within 10 seconds or shut the engine off. This is our DEF gauge. Here is our tachometer, our speedometer, and down here is our odometer with all our warning lights in place. This would be our diesel tank. Top right here would be our brake application gauge. Our front air tank, which would also be our secondary, and our rear tank for primary. Moving along this way, this would be our park control valve for the truck, trailer supply valve. This truck has just an interaxle lock. This would be our Webasso controls, like we talked under hood. That's for your block heater, trailer spike, and this is our climate control. So that's our temperature selector, our fan speed selector, and our vent selector. This is to turn our air conditioning off, and this is cab recirculation. All trucks, well, new trucks have traction control. This turns our traction control system off. This is a defrost, and this is our air suspension up and down for the rear for airbags. This is our radio. It's good to call out your CB radio if you have one in your truck. And this would be our gear selector, automatic transmission, so it's securely mounted and in place. Also, we'll call out that there's no cracks or damage to the windshield. Check our interior lights are properly working. Check our visors are securely mounted as well. We have all manufacturer warnings in place. Make sure you read these if you're not familiar with the truck. And from there, I like to go on to paperwork. So let's pull down our documentation and go through that step by step. So here we have our registration. We want to verify that it matches the truck. So we're going to check the VIN number. We're going to make sure that the license plate matches the license plate on the truck and that we're not expired. Here's our insurance. Once again, we're making sure it matches the truck, so the VIN number matches and we're not expired. And here's our CVIP paperwork. So first and foremost, you want to make sure this number on the top right matches the number on your blue CVIP decal. We want to verify that the vehicle identification number or VIN matches the truck. It has to be signed by a licensed technician and it can't be expired. So it's good for 1 year from this issue date. And to legally run in Alberta, unless you're a farmer that doesn't leave Alberta, you need to have a safety fitness certificate. We're going to verify that this is not expired. On the day of the test, we're going to have a pre-trip inspection pre-filled out for you, but you will have to pull it out and verify that it's properly. So these pre-trip inspection books have carbon copies in them. These are pulled out, but there should be a white sheet. On the day of the test, we're going to go back to the last 2 pages. And we're going to check that it's properly filled out and has no defects noted. It's signed for as well. So that's step 3 of our pre-trip inspection. Once again, you won't be coaxed or directed by your examiner. So we're going to go into our air brake test now. So just like any pre-trip, before you do an air brake test, you want to verify the vehicle is secure. I'm looking in my mirrors and I see that my wheel chocks are still in place and my park brakes are engaged. In these Volvos, for the gauges to work, you have to have the key in the on position, which it is already. And what we're going to do now is start our air brake test. So first we're going to check our park control valve. So we're going to push the yellow button in, and we're going to fan our brakes until this park control valve pops out. It should pop out between 20 and 45 psi, and we should see a low air warning come on when our air pressures get to 60 psi or higher. There we go, it popped out just at 20, so that's within parameters. Now we're going to do a supply circuit test, so I'd advise you to get your phone out and get your stopwatch ready before you start the engine. We're going to start the engine. We're going to run the engine at 1200 RPM, and when we see our gauges reach 90 psi, we're going to start our timer. When we get to 90 psi, we'll stop our timer. Between 50 and 90 psi, we have 3 minutes or less to be a pass on our test. So there's our audible warning. It only works when the engine is running on these ovals. So we're at 1200 RPM, and we're going to watch our gauges. When I get to 50 psi, I'm going to start my timer. So that's about 50 psi there. I started my timer. We're going to watch that our low air warning shuts off by 60. Which it did. We're going to continue building until we get to 90 psi. And that there is about 90. So between 50 and 90, it took 31 seconds. That's within parameters. We're now going to test our governor. We're going to look for governor cutout. That should occur between 120 and 135 psi. That'll be indicated by the air dryer purge valve, or your air pressure will stop building. There we go. I just heard the purge valve on the air dryer. So we just confirmed that governor cutout is working, and it happened to cut out at 120. That's within spec. We're now going to check for governor cut in. So once again, we know our wheels are chopped. It's safe to release our brakes. We're going to push the yellow button in and fan our brakes a few times to lower our air pressure. Our governor should cut back in 20 to 25 psi below our cutout pressure. So in this truck, it should be 95 to 100 psi where it cuts back in. We're watching our air pressure gauges, primary and secondary, and we can see that we're building air pressure again. So that verifies that our cut-in is working on our governor. We're now going to build to full air pressure and then do a leak test. So now that we're at full pressure, we can turn the key off and then turn it back to the on position so our gauges are functioning properly. We're going to have to get our timer ready again. So I'm going to make a full brake application, and you're going to see the air pressure drop on these gauges. When they stop dropping and the system's stabilized, that's when we're going to start our timer. We're now going to hold this for 2 minutes. In these 2 minutes, we're not allowed to lose more than 4 psi for the tractor. So we're going to hold at a full brake application for 2 minutes now. So if you need to go get a coffee or a drink, this is your chance. So we're just hitting 45 seconds, and I've noted that there's no air pressure drop. We're sitting even at 100 psi on both our primary and secondary gauges. Almost there, 20 seconds left. While I'm making this 2-minute hold to listen for leaks and check for leaks, this also serves as our first brake adjustment if you have automatic slack adjusters. So that's 2 minutes. We're going to release the brakes now. We lost no air pressure. We're allowed maximum 4 psi. We're now going to make our second brake application. We have to have a 90 to 100 psi to set our automatic slack adjusters. So push it one more time. Hold for 2 seconds. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi. And now we're going to ensure the vehicle is secure. Make sure you pull this before you get out of the truck or you will fail your test. I'm now going to remove the wheel chocks and we're going to do a rolling service brake response test. Remember, use 3-point contact when getting in and out of the truck. So we're simply going to roll ahead a meter, make a service brake application to make sure our brakes are responding. And that would be the end of your pre-trip inspection. If all went well, you're now going to go on the road and do your road test. Hope this helped.